Well, folks, we're driving along through the Texas Hill Country with John McAfee, the legendary tech guru and inventor of antivirus software. He's here in Austin visiting with us, and he was just noticing when he checked Yahoo's front page that the two top stories are about him refusing to help the government try to fix Obamacare, and then another one about how he's been voted the top pick to head up Microsoft. And I like what he was reading, so read it for the folks out there.
All right. The company doesn't need some corporate fat cat to lead it into its last battles. It needs a leader with charisma and excitement. Someone who may be prepared to do the unexpected thing. Is this too much to ask from a firm at the forefront of an industry that's fundamentally not yet even middle-aged? Microsoft's other enemy, Google, will be shown up by a switched-on, slightly dangerous, newer Microsoft CEO. After all, where McAfee seems pretty open about his hedonistic excesses, Google chairman Eric Schmidt seems bland, while it seems he enjoys his own hedonistic exercises in private. Who do you trust? The person who is honest about what he does, or the one who keeps it quiet while telling others that privacy doesn't exist anymore? Leopards don't change their spots. I suppose McAfee would quickly find himself moving between controversies. That's great. He'd be the talk of the town and would have the opportunity to indulge himself in many different ways. He could bring danger and excitement, scandal and a sense of unpredictability. Microsoft would seem exciting and interesting, and the world's press would reel in manufactured shock and awe as the maverick Microsoft McAfee threatened to turn the world upside down. This personal excitement would make Apple seem uptight and Google seem dishonest in comparison.
And that's from Computer World.
That's from Computer World.
Well, that's a smart article. And, you know, when you first read the headline, I said, I bet that's serious, because people like a rebel, they like an innovator, they like somebody who's a winner. And you just 1 in a million got out of that whole setup down there in Belize. And then you read the article. That's basically what it said.
It is. And again, I've been in this industry since the very beginning. I mean, when computers were the size of small cities, I was programming. And I've managed programming jobs for all of my life. So it's not like I don't know the industry. And I certainly have success in building large companies from nothing.
That's right. MSNBC was trying to make fun of it at first, but then said, actually, your points were good. Like, he's a guy that was accused of something, but actually was innocent. But, you know, now the Congress is calling him for help. Well, they better be calling somebody for help.
Yeah, that's the problem. They're calling for help, but they don't really want to listen to advice. They know what they're going to do.
You said scrap it, right?
I said scrap it, because it's never going to work the way it's built. So we have to throw it away and start over. And that's what I said, but no, they don't want to hear that. And I could tell them how to start over to make it very cheap and very quick.
And then MSNBC, they're total handmaidens for Obama. I mean, you just as a internet technology person, you told them what you thought, and they had to make it political,
of course,
because the emperor has beautiful new clothes on.
Absolutely. And again, I don't mind the CNBC's political stance. I mean, as long as they will listen to me and won't twist my words, and since much of it was written down, they couldn't twist it.
That's right. It was CNBC, not MSNBC.
Right. But even CNBC has their own political bias, of course. But in any case, I don't care what their bias is. Just give me a chance to say something and make up your own mind.
I agree. Well, exciting that Obamacare is being exposed as a fraud. It always was. I read the legislation or scanned over it. It's a total special interest deal to jack up healthcare prices and make people buy it. I mean, in a controlled market like that, the price is going to go up, the quality is going to go down.
It always does, doesn't it? That's what happens when you try to control, free enterprise. The reason it's called free enterprise is because it's free. You get to choose and make your own path.
True individuality, individuals deciding what they're going to purchase, voting with their dollars.
Absolutely. In
closing, we're going shooting. You looking forward to shooting the 50 cal?
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite weapons, and I'd like to shoot my own handgun. I haven't actually exercised it in quite a while, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we're about to do some shooting, and I hope you brought plenty of 357 ammo. I think we may have brought some, but we'll see what happens.
Well, you have the 357. I'm doing a 38 special today.
38 special, that's right.
The problem I got here is it's been a long time since I've shot a 50 caliber, and I'm sure that I'm not as good as I used to be. So if you don't mind, I'm going to imagine my target out there, and I'll tell you whether or not I hit it in the center. Okay? You don't have a problem with that?
No.
Okay, perfect. Just like Obamacare.
Well, we don't have very good targets out there, so you can just imagine them, I guess.
Yes, Obamacare is the same thing, right? They've imagined the rollout as being successful, and therefore they've met their expectations.
That's right. I'm sure
I'm going to do
every
the same
shot,
thing with my target. I'll hit it point blank every time.
I'm sure every shot is going to be a success.
It's perfect.
That's
perfect.
right.
Well, Shane, we just did a lot of shooting. What was your favorite part of all the different guns we shot on the upcoming Brothers in Arms?
Well, it was watching John shoot the 50 cal. It was pretty amazing, especially the fact that you are left-handed, or you're right-handed and you shoot left-handed. That's pretty amazing. You were doing pretty good for having that handicap.
Well, I was amazed I could even lift it. You know? It weighs more than my wife. So, yeah, I had a blast. I really did.
You did a great job.
Thank you, sir.
The last time I talked to you, you were hiding out somewhere in the Belizean jungle, and you made it out. I tell you, I saw that article. America loves the success story of an adventurer.
That they do. Well, I was fortunate. I had good help, and I was careful. I kept my head low, and for a month and a half, I evaded the 7,000-man army. All of them had my photograph looking for me, and 4,000 police, and managed to get across the border carrying, 2 reporters and a retinue of young girls. So I think that was success.
How did you do it?
Mostly by misdirection. Telling friends that I knew were unfaithful friends that I was in one place when I wasn't, and they would then tell the government, and they would all rush there, and I'd be somewhere else. And I got across the border because the southern border was completely manned with guards. I managed to arrange to get arrested in Mexico. It was a double that looked like me, and had that reported in the international press, and everybody went north to the Mexican border, and I just waltzed across the southern border into Guatemala.
You sound like a James Bond character.
We're hanging out with James Bond right now. Did you know that? That's amazing.
Yeah, well, at the time it was a little bit spooky, but I knew I could do it. I also chose a day that it was raining. And in Belize, no police officer gets out of their car in the rain to check another car. This is a fact. So I chose a rainy day, and we drove 200 miles down the southern highway and passed a bunch of checkpoints, and the police were all huddled in their cars looking out the window, and no one stopped us. No one did anything.
I was reading Computer World today. They had a big vote, and you're the most popular person, they said, to head up Microsoft.
That surprised me, actually. It was, I think, Tech Week that did the survey of 10 or 20,000 users, and they all voted, and I was number one. I have 27% for me, 24% for Bill Gates, and the other 30 people only got less than 10% of the vote. So I don't know whether the world has gone crazy or what, but I wouldn't take that job. It's too boring.
I almost forgot the whole reason I was doing this quick interview is I asked if you're going to be writing a book anytime soon. I saw in the news that there's 2 major movie companies, Warner Brothers and somebody else I forget, that are already making a movie about your great escape down there from the clutches of the third world dictators.
That's true. Warner Brothers has already announced the screenwriters, and then Impact Future Media in Canada is doing their own movie, and that script has already been written. I think the Warner Brothers movie is based on a book by Josh Davis, who claims that he lived with me for most of a year. He actually spent just a few hours with me in Belize and then went back and pretended to be the McAfee expert. So I'm anxious for both of them to come out. I'd like to see what I actually did. So.
But then someday there'll be the real movie put out with what you really did do.
Yeah, I hope so. Real soon.
All right, John McAfee, thanks for talking to us. And folks can check out your website. Give them the address.
It's whoismcafee.com. Whoismcafee.com.
And we're at Infowars.com, out here with Shane Steiner on his beautiful ranch doing some shooting. Shane, thanks as always.
Had fun.
All right, Alex Jones signing off.
Awesome. All right.
For Infowars.com.
Thank you, Alex.
John McAfee and the 50 caliber shootout, coming to Infowars Nightly News, Wednesday, October 23rd.
American freedom, baby.
Stay tuned after the news for more special reports.
Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
More than 60 movies and documentaries all in one place at Infowars.com/show.
I'm Jakari Jackson with an InfoWars Nightly News Alert. Are you willing to fire upon Americans? That's the question reportedly being asked of military personnel. And who's asking this question? The United States government themselves, according to the military personnel we've talked to. Retired Navy SEAL Benjamin Smith went on the Fox News channel, revealing how he believes the United States government is trying to provoke veterans into an armed confrontation. He was also on the Alex Jones radio show today, telling us about the litmus test he was given.
Going back to the beginning of this administration, I've had friends within the community talking about how they were brought in and, questioned with people from, more towards the top side. And the questioning resulted in kind of where it was pointing was, do you feel comfortable disarming American citizens? And you can see that now with the shedding of a lot of the officers and stuff like that. It's we don't have the 100% track on it, but there's a lot of funny things happening within military.
Now that's bombshell, but I want to quantify that. I have Secret Service, FBI sources on record on the air, but also covert sources that are currently in. They say exactly that for 2 years. There is a litmus test where officers from the generals down to lieutenant generals, down to majors, down to sergeant, master sergeants, will you fire on U.S. citizens? And if you say no, you're sent to the worst hellhole or basically kicked out. If you say yes, you're put into special Homeland Security units. Quantify, you're saying people in the community, special warfare community, are saying they have been brought into litmus test meetings.
Yeah. And at this moment in this conversation, it's God, to bring it back to Van Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. You remember him when he said you have to, for us to have the argument or to just have the conversation logically, and what he was saying with the communists and the lefties and everything that Van Jones is, it's you drop the radical pose for the radical ends. And just to translate that into what this is, I understand a lot of libertarian, Ron Paul, a lot of people that are your listeners get fervent and very strong about it. And it's not about, being that person that's the loudest right there, having that logical conversation to where someone else can reply and you can go back with facts. And it's a logical conversation that needs to be had.
And you can see the rest of the bombshell interview on prisonplanet.tv, where if you're not a member, you need to join today. You get a 15-day free trial, and you can also share one username and passcode with up to 11 different people. Get your membership today. Now stick around, because after this, we'll have more special reports. I'm Jakari Jackson, and this has been an InfoWars Nightly News Alert.
Well, folks, we're driving along through the Texas Hill Country with John McAfee, the legendary tech guru and inventor of antivirus software.
Expected thing. Is this too much to ask from a firm at the forefront of an industry that's fundamentally not yet even middle-aged? Microsoft's other enemy, Google, will be shown up by a switched-on, slightly dangerous, newer Microsoft CEO. After all, where McAfee seems pretty open about his hedonistic excesses, Google chairman Eric Schmidt seems bland, while it seems he enjoys his own hedonistic exercises in private. Who do you trust? The person who...
He's here in Austin visiting with us, and he was just noticing when he checked Yahoo's front page that the two top stories are about him refusing to help the government try to fix Obamacare, and then another one about how he's been voted the top pick to head up Microsoft, and I like what he was reading, so read it for the folks out there.
All right. The company doesn't need some corporate fat cat to lead it into its last battles. It needs a leader with charisma and excitement. Someone who may be prepared to do the unexpected and awe as the maverick Microsoft McAfee threatened to turn the world upside down. This personal excitement would make Apple seem uptight and Google seem dishonest in comparison.
And that's from Computer World.
That's from Computer World.
Well, that's a smart article. And, you know, when you first read the headline, I said, I bet that's serious because people like a rebel. They like an innovator. They like somebody who's a winner. And you just 1 in a million got out of that whole setup.
Is honest about what he does, or the one who keeps it quiet while telling others that privacy doesn't exist anymore? Leopards don't change their spots. I suppose McAfee would quickly find himself moving between controversies. That's great. He'd be the talk of the town and would have the opportunity to indulge himself in many different ways. He could bring danger and excitement, scandal and a sense of unpredictability. Microsoft would seem exciting and interesting, and the world's press would reel in manufactured